All right, mamas, well, you're not going to even believe what happened to us this past weekend. It was our very last trip for the summer. Super excited. We went up to my cabins up in northern Wisconsin. And on our way home, half hour into the trip, I'm trying to calm down the children as normal. And then Joe goes, uh-oh. I'm like, what? He's like, do you hear that? I'm like, yeah. He said the little thing on this and the van says low tire pressure. And I was like, oh God. And then we start looking as we're driving by car after car on the side of the road with flat tires. So sure enough, we got a flat. It's the front passenger wheel over by me. And so we actually did make it off the road. Took the first exit we could find and got to actually a pretty nice gas station. As we're pulling in, I'm like looking around, where can I take the kids, what can we play on, because I have a feeling we're going to be here for a while. And so sure enough, we pull in and there's this lady like flagging me down. I'm like, yeah, I know we have a flat tire, thanks. And she goes, no, look at our car. And she has two flat tires, and the car on the other side of us had a couple flat tires. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it turns out there was debris on the road. There were a couple boards with nails, and then apparently nails scattered around the road. So it was a huge thing. There were probably at least 30 cars with flat tires. But it was also a Sunday, again, in northern Wisconsin. So apparently none of the repair shops were open. So we get out of the car. Of course, Olivia had just fallen asleep. Now she's awake again. But it was one of those moments where I saw the front tire was gone. That it was gone. It was like completely flat. But then Joe, my husband, looked at the back tire and it's like, oh God, I think that one's going too. And sure enough, it was losing air. You could hear it. So it was one of those moments where you kind of have to catch your breath, because you're like, we have 3 kids and a baby. We're 4 hours away from home. It's a Sunday. All the repair shops are closed, and we have 2 flat tires. And it was like, breathe, breathe. I don't know how tires work. I don't know how any of this. I've never had a flat tire before, really, so I had no clue what we were dealing with. So I called my dad. I was like, Dad, what would you do? I don't know what to do. And so he's like trying to help us figure it out. And finally, we actually ended up going, talking to one of the attendants who just saved the day, one of the gas station clerks. She came out and she started looking at our tires and took down the type of tires it was. And she called actually a local friend who tows trucks and fix tires and stuff like that. So he came out, even though we couldn't find his information anywhere. She hooked us up, so it was awesome. So he ended up fixing ours and the people next to us. But of course we were second because we were parked in. So I had to entertain the kids, but luckily there were big rocks to climb on, and the clerk, she got us some lunch for the kids, and then she brought us these awesome little Paw Patrol backpack buddies for their backpacks, and it was awesome. She was an angel. She saved the day. And so then finally, after, 3 hours, the guy got to our car and he patched the one. Thank God he was able to patch one tire. And then he just put the spare on the other tire. And then we were back on the road just praying that it would last. We were on our way to Wausau, which is a bigger city that did indeed have places open on Sunday to fix our tires. So at that point, I'm calling around at all these different places, seeing if we can get an appointment. But it turned out they were all completely booked because, of course, those at least 30 other vehicles were also on their way to get their tires fixed there. So luckily I did find, I called a Sam's Club, and they did have openings. They're like, yeah, it's really slow. Come on in. I'm like, yes, perfect. So I made our appointment and we got there. No other cars, which was awesome. It's probably because you have to be a Sam's Club member, but we were happy to pay that fee. So now we're Sam's Club members, and we also got our tires fixed right away. And they had really, better than I thought it would be, food there for sale, really cheap, which was kind of fun. So then we had dinner there too, so we didn't have to stop again with all the kids. So we did all of that, got the tire fixed. It was only like $100, so it was great. And I mean, the whole time we're like, well, if we can't get into Wausau, if we can't get in anywhere there to fix our tire, we're going to have to spend the night somewhere. We're going to have to be in a hotel with all these kids. We're going to have to unpack all our stuff and then repack all our stuff. And Joe had a ton of work to do the next day, but thankfully we could avoid all of that, and Sam's Club saved the day. So that was a fun trip. And then, of course, Livy our baby was just done with the car on the ride home from there, and we still had another 2.5 hours. So that was a bit of a pain. But we're done traveling for a while. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go anywhere anytime soon. So we'll see. We usually go somewhere that's at least 4 hours away, at least once a month. So we're busy travelers on the road a lot. But that's my last trip of the summer story. I'm sure you can all, there's something that you've done in the past that could relate to this, but it's just crazy. That's just how our life goes. I find all the time that crazy stuff happens to me like that all the time. So I'm used to it, and I've accepted it, so it's less stressful, but it was one of those things where, like, one step at a time. One step at a time. Don't think of the big picture. I just was completely overwhelmed. So we made it back, and we had some angels along the way to help us. It was quite the adventure. So that's all for today, ladies. Bye.